Hey, people,
Hey, how are you?
persons, everybody.
All of you.
It's good to be on here again. We actually have technically recorded a podcast, but we have not posted it because we're just not sure about it.
We're
Okay.
sure about it. We're just not sure if
Yeah.
it's to be shared.
Like, what is wrong with them?
Yeah.
No, as we record this, it is January 20th, it's Saturday. So I guess kind of Happy New Year, but I'm already looking past that myself. I'm done. Okay. No.
I'm not. I still think it's January. Happy New Year.
It is.
All of my peeps up north freezing.
She's got her Green Bay going. Her team's playing today. We hope when we look back on this that they won.
Even if they didn't, congrats to them for getting to the dance. Like, seriously.
Yes. That I didn't think they were going to do that. That's for sure.
No.
I knew my Patriots weren't. I mean, anybody could see that. But it's cool watching the Green Bay's story. Really, really cool.
It's just because he loves me. He's
No,
a
I'm a
Pats
sports
fan,
fan.
100%.
Oh, of course I am. Of course I am. But it's cool. I always love the game first. I'm the same with baseball. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I love the game. So if something cool happens, it doesn't have to be just on my team. It's cool.
Okay.
It's cool.
I like it. Good attitude.
So
we're in the new year.
New year, and we have the last couple of years for us have been actually really difficult. This was actually in one of our last podcasts that we haven't posted that we're not sure. Financially, how's everybody doing? This is like a question that comes up in our household. We've literally had to put it together with tape and glue. I'm in the mortgage industry. Those of you that know me know that it's been a really hard couple of years since interest rates have gone way up. If I did a loan for you back in 2019, 20, or 21, sometimes I did multiple for people. You were in the 3% range. Some people.
Yeah, loans are lean now.
They're just not like that right now. I recently started thinking that like this is our COVID. That if you're in the financial world, whether you're like a realtor, a loan officer, a home inspector, appraiser, we're feeling what everybody felt in 2020. In 2020, we were very busy as an industry because people weren't able to pull from their finances. A lot of people weren't even working. I mean, I know here in Florida, there was like lines for food and
right.
It was crazy. So the only place people were getting money back in 2020 was through their houses.
Yeah. So you were busy and
Very.
I was home.
A lot of people were.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of people didn't maybe feel too bad for us back then because we were doing really well. But my industry is, literally like a roller coaster. It can go from, I know you remember 2008. Well, I lost my job in 2000, late 07 during Christmas time. I lost my job. That was a really tough time to be in that. And I actually had to get out of it. And a lot of people out there will know me from a different job I worked during those years. I worked in the collections industry. So
yeah, me during that time, I was a homeowner and, most people were upside down in their homes.
Everybody was.
I had lots of friends in the banking business saying people were just walking up and turning in the keys to their cars. And it was a really hard time. And I remember that Christmas, me just thinking, I want to give my kids one thing if I can. Just, it was a really hard time.
Yeah,
so
I went through that. That was
the housing market is never really.
Yeah, it's not recession proof.
No,
it's never recession proof. And the history of it, a lot of people don't realize the history. So our theme in this podcast today is we're talking about how things financially shape up for everyone. How does it look to you right now? What do you think about the future? Do you have any thoughts about how it looks? I know I recently saw a poll of Americans for the first time in a really long time. People don't think the next 5 years are going to be as good as the last. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, things are so expensive.
It's horrible.
So expensive. Your pay may not be going up, but everything else certainly is.
Yeah.
Affordability for housing.
Yeah. So not from like a corporation. I don't want to get into that 1%er talk because that's just a rabbit hole that would take us 9 podcasts to get through that. I'm just talking about everybody's wallet and how it feels to you. A lot of people don't realize how much the financial industry has changed.
And let's face it, no one likes to talk about money. So, of course, we're talking about money.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about shit nobody wants to talk about.
We do.
But we talk about this because it affects us. Like I said, we've had a Shannon and I met each other in kind of mid 21, and that's when I was still doing like well, like the industry was doing well, and people were still refinancing and purchasing, and so she and I have gone through quite a lot. We actually sold our house last year, almost 1 year ago. We bought a house in late 21, and here in Florida. It had a pool, it had the whole thing.
Beautiful.
And we couldn't afford it anymore.
I mean,
it just came down to
like they do for everybody.
Yeah, it drastically changed for us, and it was like so for mental health and financial reasons, had to let it go. So we have, we could talk about our personal stuff, which we won't do, but we could talk about what we've been through personally with it. Not only 22, but all of 23 as well. It was a really, really difficult time. And we're not alone. I know this. We both bought cars this year.
Yes.
Because we needed to. And our interest rates are crazy high.
And we both have top-notch credit scores.
Credit, yeah. Best credit scores.
That's what we all are told, right? Get your credit score up so you can get the best rates. And we're like, yeah, these are the best rates.
When these inflationary things happen, that stuff goes out the window, and what you consider a good rate is now, gone. Like with mortgages, for example. And then it's not just them, it's credit cards, it's anything you use your money. So a lot of people don't understand what they try to do with inflation. I'm not an economist, but I looked at this probably closer than most people. And when the government basically wants you to stop borrowing money, when they have inflation, that's basically what they want you to do. So they rise up the interest rates that we all use to finance things. So if you're buying a house, you're buying a car, credit cards, anything you finance, home equity lines of credit were a big thing. Those became variable rates over the last couple of years. Yeah. Crazy stuff. So I don't want to get into those details of that, but I'm just sort of mentioning it to sort of look at it historically and what it looks like. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that mortgages, when they first came out, mortgages have been around a long time, but when they first came out, well, pre-1930, they were like 3 to 5 years. Can you imagine?
No. Can you imagine buying a house and you only get to finance it for 3 to 5 years? But that's how much more affordable housing was too at the time.
Yep.
So, now that no one would have a house, obviously, because the pricing is just ridiculous. That nobody can do that. I mean
people can't do 30.
Billionaires.
They can do 30 years. I mean, if you think about it, people trying to fit in where rates are now in a 30-year mortgage, it's very difficult to imagine paying something like that forever. So we try to look over the horizon and hope it's better. And that's where it gets the crystal ball factor that nobody has. But I saw a TikTok.
I like that crystal ball.
I use that term a lot.
Wish I had one someday.
Because when people ask me questions like, I have no crystal ball, I always say that because I don't. Where does that come from? What is that? Was it a
I don't know. I'm more sarcastic with it. I'll say, oh, hold on. Let me get my crystal ball out and roll my eyes.
Yeah, but what is that from? We should look that up. We should know that. But a lot of people over the years have asked me questions, and I always start with that. Well, what do you think rates are going to do? Well, if I knew that, I'd be a billionaire.
Duh.
And I said, if I had a crystal ball, I'd tell you I have no idea because nobody does.
Right.
Nobody saw 2022 coming. No one saw that in my industry. I can tell you right now. We were all thinking it was just going to keep going. Maybe they'd go up a little. But what ended up happening is the worst case scenario, which everybody borrowed money at 3% and everybody's wanting to stay right around there, which I don't blame you. We did the same thing.
Absolutely.
And then rates go up, and then what else can you do with your money? You have to use your money in other ways. You have to credit cards, or you have to borrow personal loans, or because you don't want to lose that nice low mortgage rate that you have. Right. But everything else goes up too. Steak.
Yeah, steak is a luxury.
It's become. I love it. I miss it.
We're doing chopsteak.
Chopsteak.
Salisbury steak.
We're having eggs all week. Just eggs.
I'm allergic. But anyway.
No, but historically speaking, mortgages. The FHA was created. I think I looked it up.
1934.
34. So Once FHA came along, they created standards that became 15 and 30-year mortgages. So that made things a lot more affordable. But what it does is you're spending more also,
and
depending on your rate. So we all know what happened in 2008. I survived that. That was awful. That was because of a lot of greed. And if you ever want to watch a movie about it, it explains it really well. It's called The Big Short. Go watch that movie.
It's on Netflix, I think. Was it Netflix? Yeah. I think it was Netflix.
It's got Christian Bale in it. It tells about the people that actually saw it coming-ish, kind of. They saw the trends and a lot of greed, a lot of craziness. Definitely took me out of the game for 5 years. That's our cat. Gigi. Gigi is on our podcast.
Say hello. That's amazing.
Anyway, I'll let you do, this aspect of it. But we were looking. I saw this TikTok the other day, and there's G. And can you get out of here, please? Move it. All right, he's on our podcast. That's Gigi, by the way. We were looking at this TikTok, and this guy, it caught my attention. He was doing cost of living versus owning
1950.
From 1950 to 2024, and what the difference is. It'll blow your mind, the differences between. So you go ahead, you help.
Well, so basically, it's the median income in 1950 was about $3,300. That's the average
for a couple, right?
For a couple.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And a house only costs $7,000. So it was reasonable to think you can pay that house off.
And your car.
And your car. That's right. If you needed a new car, same thing.
Right.
You could do it.
2.5 times.
Yeah, you could.
So imagine 2.5 years. So, remedial math. That's $14,000 and $3,500. $18,500. So you could, in 2.5 years, you could pay off both your car and your house. If that's all you had to pay off.
Right. Not the extra things, you still need to eat and all of that.
But. Yeah. So based on your median income, and again, people don't realize you use gross income, not what we all take home.
Right. That's
but another thing people don't realize.
It was a reasonable debt to take on. And, you would...
You could actually prosper because you...
Right. You would accrue equity and, all of those things. It was more affordable, even though it doesn't sound like a lot to make $3,300. It was a lot then.
Yes.
So now...
Fast forward to now.
Now.
2024.
Median income. So, some people make more, some people make less. $74,000 is what the median income is. However, to buy the average, again, some are more, some are less, but the average, if you take the U.S. average, house and a car, $434,000.
Well, the house was $434,000. We don't even.
I thought that was with the car too.
No, that was the house. That was the median.
Oh, that's even worse. You're welcome.
That's like those of you from New England. $434,000 doesn't buy you a lot. Shannon's from Indiana. I know that's slightly different. Here in Florida, we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, $434,000. It's in some places in New England to get you nothing. It gets you like a starter house. Me and my boss were looking. We saw a condo in Salem. It was like $1.2 million. A condo that looks at nothing. Doesn't look at the mountains or the ocean. It's just a condo. And so imagine $434,000 or whatever a car costs. 6 times your income now is what you need.
Yeah.
So as everything's gotten more expensive, the distance between your median income and paying off stuff is now, 3.5 times more than it used to be. It's really 6 times if you're looking at it from 0 to, the most. But that's unreal.
Right. It is. So, what's happening is everybody that wants to keep that 3% house rate or is, scraping by to rent a place, which rents are astronomical.
Yes.
What you're doing is you're putting stuff on credit cards or you're taking out personal loans just to make ends meet.
Just to get it done.
By.
Just to get from one week to the next.
Yeah. And I mean, Mike moved here and that hurt. He moved here from New England because it was less expensive. And, you know, it's Florida, right? Beaches, sand, beautiful stuff.
No snow.
I had always heard that Florida was more expensive than Indiana. But when I moved here, I moved with my kids. I did it by myself and it was affordable. And I was shocked. It's like, wow, gas is actually cheaper here. Things are cheaper here. My rent, you know, I rented a place when I first moved here. I can't say that now at all.
Oh God, no.
Not at all.
I'm sure a lot of people have heard, but to actually live here and watch it happen the way we did. I moved from a house in Derry, New Hampshire, sold it, moved here. I was actually $1,000 more per month. My mortgage was $1,000 less.
When you came here?
When I came here. I bought a brand new house. I was the first person who I came with. We all were the first people to live in it. Brand new, modern, not as big as the house I had up north, no basement, like all that stuff. 2-stall garage, 3-bedroom, about 1,800 square foot. I saved $1,000 from what?
Moving here.
Now, fast forward to now, it's completely different. People don't know what happened in Florida, and it's what they call the Sun Belt problem. It's like Arizona, parts of Texas, California, Florida in general. Corporations have come in here and just purchased everything. They're buying full neighborhoods. They're buying up houses. They're just no mortgages. They're just buying cash. They're going to the realtors
and they're renting.
And then they're renting them for crazy astronomical prices.
And they're making you make 3 times whatever the rent is.
Right. So imagine if your rent is $2,500. That means you have to show $7,500 a month. Now, I don't know about you, but the average family does not make $7,500 a month. Most people don't. I don't have those figures. I don't know what the actual median income, but if you're taking 70,
just said it is 74 is the median, but now you can't do anything else.
Yeah, so
that's no car, that's no food, that's no electric.
That's about 84 to, if my math is correct. That's about, if you're $7,500 a month, that's almost $90,000 a year. So that's already over the median. So if you're there are people that literally can't afford to rent here.
Nope.
So that's what we're talking about, because we talk about this all the time because of what's happened to us personally over the last couple of years. And I'm sure it's the same for many people out there that if you look at America when we were kids and you look at it now, I mean, I'm old enough to be one of the kids holding the Liberty Bell. Remember? You're younger than me. But in 1976 was the 200th anniversary of America, right? So we were all we were all holding the Liberty Bell. I had to bring it to school. I'm like, dude, this is heavy. We're all holding the Liberty Bell and, taking our pictures. And like, when I think about fast forward to now, the sentiment of how America looks, the way healthcare is, the way all of us are paying out of pocket for stuff that we know in other places in the world, they are not doing that. Right above us in Canada, Europe, they don't pay for their healthcare. We pay out the nose for our healthcare. Even if you have insurance, you're paying for it.
Oh yeah,
every paycheck, and then you're actually paying out of pocket. I had a surgery on my shoulder in 1995. I paid $20 out of my pocket for that surgery. If I had that now, I would never get it.
No,
it would be like $2,500 just as a deductible. To get
about $5,000.
Shannon knows this stuff better than most people.
I mean, insurance is an absolute joke. It's a joke. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. I don't care what anyone says. You pay so much out of your paycheck, and you have these high deductibles, and your benefits are, tiny. I mean, they really are. So,
why do you think that is? I mean, you can always point at, the 1%ers of the corporations making too much money, and then the trickle down effect is we pay more, but they pay less, or whatever. I mean, I don't care to get into that political crap. But why do you think, from your perspective?
I deal with insurance all the time. I would have to say that a lot of times it has to do with, if you're working for someone and they offer insurance, they have to pay out of the nose for it to offer it to you. And then just the way things have gone down lately with, not to be political, but certain presidents and how they've brought healthcare in, and it's this major focal point. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think healthcare should be separate. I don't think it should be tied into your employment. I think every American deserves good healthcare. And
well, that's been proven in other countries.
We have that affordability, even if you aren't working, where it's not tied in. It's still really to have good coverage for most. Not saying all. Some of you probably have something awesome, but I have yet to meet you.
Nobody has awesome in America.
I've yet to meet you, but I'm just
sorry. There is no awesome in America, and if you have it, maybe you have a government job. Maybe you work for a really big corporation that the sort of trickle down of it is maybe thinner for you than it is if you were with a smaller corporation. Nobody has good anything. I'm sorry. No one could convince me otherwise.
I mean, bad. If you have awesome healthcare that you don't have to pay $9 million a month for, you can actually pick your doctors and you don't have to wait and all that, let us know. Because I would like to know about that. I mean, and I'm not being smart. I'm serious.
I mean, you're being a little smart, but that's okay.
Smart in my brain.
This is our podcast. We can say what we want to say.
Yeah, we can. But no, seriously, But
it's not political. I mean, I think that's like a big problem with this with that particular issue. Is I grew up in a military family. My father was in the military. I just said that twice. So my dad was in the army he was in the army for 40 years. So I had military benefits when I was young. I remember my mother never had to pay for anything.
Yeah.
There was no paying for anything. Like I said, in 1995, I had surgery on my pitching shoulder, and it was like elective, but I was a young father, and picking up Kelsey was hard, and playing drums was hard. And I was just like, I would love to throw 90 miles an hour still, but it was more about being healthy and having a shoulder that I could use, So, like we just said, if I fast forward to now, I would elect not to get surgery. I'd just have an injured shoulder, and it would get worse and worse.
To pick and choose.
But that's what Americans have to do. That's sad that we have. How about? I mean, dental is something extremely well. Dental's not really healthcare.
It should be. It should be. I mean, that's where so many things people do not realize. And I will not bore you with tooth talk, but if your teeth are important, please take care of them.
Wednesdays, 9 p.m.
They're extremely important, and you should take care of your teeth. And that's all I'm going to say about that. You should. They are a precursor to a lot of health issues. Okay, but I don't want to bore the people. I don't want to bore the people.
Well, no, I think people actually know that. But when it comes to paying out the nose or saving a tooth, I mean, that is something that a lot of people have to make the choice to do. You would never do that with another part of your body. Like, you need a new heart. Well, I'll just let it go.
Right. Oh, this tooth is coming out. It's fine. I'll just get dentures in a year or so. And it's like, no.
But that's what we do in this country, and we have done it for many, many years.
You sometimes have to pick and choose.
Because you have to pick and choose, because it's cheaper to get it pulled than it is to drop $1,800 for a root canal.
So sad.
And the other costs that go with it, even with insurance. And that's sad that we have to do that in America. Of all places in the world, I don't believe America should be a place that we should be even having this conversation.
And here we are.
How about vacation? What? I knew someone that used to live in Britain, and they got 6 weeks.
Oh my gosh, so many other
We're lucky if we get 2.
And then you feel guilty. I'm going to take the 2 weeks of vacation that I earned over 10 years.
They get 6 weeks a year.
Oh, I know. I am being flippant.
That's just nuts. I mean, we can't even imagine that, because we work our workers to death here in America. We don't. Yeah. There are places that are worse.
What's work-life balance?
3 weeks. What do you mean? Instead, our mental health takes a back seat to our financial worry or our financial responsibility. That's a big problem in America. I do not like that. I don't know. I know my parents, when I was young in the 80s, they definitely had a prosperous time. There was a prosperous time that made its way in for my family. I don't know what changed for them. I don't think their jobs changed. I think my dad switched from National Guard to full Army or something like that. But there was a time, and it's in the record books, you can read about it, that was a prosperous time. But then it went the other way. It slowly went the other way. It started trickling. I don't know, who was in office. People will argue with me. Reagan. But people will argue with me on this, that was a terrible idea, the idea of making the rich pay less. That's literally the opposite of what they should be doing. But that's what happened in this country, and it continues to this day. It really does. It's sad that that we're even having these types of conversations, that a place like America, and Gigi's back, a place like America shouldn't be like this. We should lead. We used to be leaders in a lot of these types of things.
And now we're thinking, will we ever pay down debt? Like, will it ever happen? I don't know. If I moved here, I did not have one credit card. I was like, I was doing just fine by myself, got a job down here full time, had kids, bought a house, did the whole thing. And, now I'm just like, wow, this is such a different thing that we're going through. And,
it's scary, really.
I don't know if any of you have credit cards or anything, but if you look at it and you read the fine print, it's like, if you pay a minimum payment on something, you're going to be paying that for the rest of your life.
Like years, like legit years.
Yeah. So
I read earlier today, and I'm thinking about this podcast, that America is in just over $1 trillion in credit card debt right now.
$1 trillion.
So that's what we were talking about earlier. What used to be the case is, like, with some of my clients, they would use, the interest rates would be lower, and gain equity in their house. Thankfully, that's when things are going well. In 2006, they were not. They were the opposite. You can use that to leverage yourself. You can help yourself.
Right.
With
Use
credit
your
card
equity
debts,
in your
put a bathroom
house.
in, and then now your house is more expensive. You reappraise. Yeah. Now your house is worth more. And that's how people were using, that's how that mechanism is supposed to work. But that's not what's happening now, because people are, like, earlier in this podcast, people are really holding on to their lower interest rates. So that's what's happening. Mm-hmm. People are saying, okay, how can I pay for this PlayStation? I got to use my credit card. I don't have the money. I got to wait till I get paid or whatever, or my pay is going towards my mortgage and all my other bills, and I have no money, and I want to give my son a PlayStation or whatever.
Yeah. No, it's so how are you doing? What's going on with you guys out there with this?
How are you? Is everybody freaked out? Everybody's scared? We have an election coming. That's scary. Especially in this country, because it always seems like it's the lesser. I hate saying the lesser of two evils, but that's exactly what it is. Yeah, I don't care what, right, Gigi? I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. None of us ever have good choices. America, for some reason, cannot produce a leader that's not bought and sold by somebody else.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that. That's the truth of the matter. I'm not going to get political on this one,
because I'm not going to say one is better than the other, because they are not better.
They're all bought and paid for. I'm going to say that.
I have my leanings. I have how I feel about things, how I what I vote for, what matters to me. But when I look at our government in general, the worry that I have is, like, we're Rome, that we're becoming that we're so focused in on. It's like, imagine being in Rome like 2,000 years ago, and, like, the aristocrats watching the gladiators beat the crap out of each other, murder each other, literally. It's almost like that's happening to our country again.
Is an awful.
It's horrible. I can't
envision.
I think about it, but it actually kind of resembles that at times.
Feels that way.
Yeah, it really does. It's like the average everyday person. It should matter that the average everyday person has prosperity in America. It should matter in any civilization. But it appears Roman in that way, that it's the peasants. Just give them a little bit. We'll take all of everything else. We'll own everything. Yes. And the peasants will get, that little piece. Here you go. Let them eat cake.
I mean, from what I know, of America, though, it's always been that way. The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah, I mean, we were told it wasn't started that way. If you read the Declaration of Independence, you can read this amazing document. But, I think sometimes the history we thought we were taught wasn't actually accurate. Also,
we know this.
That's a podcast for another day.
We know this.
But that is absolutely true. So anyway, how's everybody doing with finances out there? How's your world? What's it like for you? Are you getting by? Are you feeling stressed? Are you worried?
Oh, you know what? I just thought of one more thing too. So I know a couple people, like our age bracket, that have lost jobs, and they've been in these jobs for 15 years or more. Curious about that too. Like, how is I guess, are you still in your job? And if you are and have been, do you feel feel valued, feel like you're being paid what you're worth, or are you being let go? I just know a few people struggling with that, and I'm just curious, is somebody out there, maybe write us an email or
how about like technology, like the AI stuff?
Yeah,
we could probably do a podcast on that too.
There's a lot of different things that tie into this.
A lot of people worried about that one. They're worried about how it's just going to integrate itself into places, and then people who have certain kinds of jobs won't be needed because it's like
well, AI is being taught by us, so it's basically us. We fed it everything, so
it's already been fed it, though.
What are we needed for?
Yeah, now it knows how to keep feeding it. Just use that Chat GPT app.
Yeah,
doesn't matter what you do.
Type something in there.
It can be anything. I mean, literally anything. I've tried it in work. I've tried it in music. I've tried it in anything. Just think of something. Hey, Chat GPT, how do I write a really good resume? It will literally tell you how to do it. It'll tell you how to make
intuitive.
chicken pot pie. It'll tell it's incredible.
It is. I mean, you can look at it like, wow, this is such a cool invention. And then you can also think, I don't have to use my brain anymore because I'll just ask Chat GPT. And did we, dating myself here, but did we create Skynet? Is the Terminator
Cyberdyne Systems? They went online on, what was the date? I forget, 1996, I think it was supposed to
be. I don't know, but I think it's a little scary.
Yep.
As cool as it is, because it is cool.
It is really cool when you use it as when you need something, but when you step back from it and think about it,
I feel like we're going back in my day.
We didn't have air and we were happy. I can't take that one. That was Dana Carvey who did that one. We ate wool coats and we were happy. It was Dana Carvey, I think.
It's great.
We went up the hill both ways.
Get off my lawn, Chat GPT.
Yeah, but that's kind of like what it is. Like, you can kind of, when you use it, you go, whoa, that's cool. Kind of. That's also scary. I mean, how many movies do we have to make about that? I mean, how many Battlestar Galactica, Terminator, the list goes on. The Matrix. I mean, how many movies do we have to make where we really given up too much of our control to a self-learning entity that does not care about us at all? So
when you say it like that,
you just used mine. That was amazing.
Your favorite line.
But no, I mean, we're a little all over the place, but we're really
you're welcome.
Just sort of talking about, and my cat is here to help. How everybody's doing out there in America right now, the state of America financially, the state of how you feel, like Shannon said. How's your job? Do you feel secure in your job? Do you feel good about the next 3 to 5 years? Are you worried? Like, most people are. I believe most people are in America, worried about what's happening.
Yeah. Do you see things changing for the better anytime soon? Are you feeling the pinch?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're feeling the pinch. Even if you make good money, you're feeling the pinch. I guarantee that right now. So yeah, and if you ever have any comments, you can always go to, I want to make sure I get our email correct. u.should.listen.ms@gmail.com. You can always write us there. Of course, on our social medias, you can always write us questions or say, hey, Mike, you should have mentioned that, or Shannon, you can always tell us that, comment, and let us know. And let us know you're listening. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
anyone
who's
listening to us.
Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah, we are on every
Instagram.
Platform.
So find us.
So we just want to start conversations about things that people care about. I think that's the real reason why we started doing
they care about them, but they don't talk about them. So it's something.
Yeah. We talk about this stuff all the time because we're knee deep in it. Good and bad, positives, negatives, everything. It's just we worry on what America looks like going forward sometimes, and I know a lot of people share our sentiment. So it was an idea for us, and I think we did a pretty good job. We're gonna get an Emmy for this.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I can see it coming.
He went there already.
I'd like to thank the Emmy people.
Do they do podcast
Academy?
Emmys?
Oh yeah, they do. Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
We got to get ready for an acceptance speech on this. All right. Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us. As always, really appreciate it. Even if you listen to us for 1 minute, we think it's amazing. So take care. We'll see you next time.
Bye. And I hit my hand again.